Facilitating Breakthrough: How to Remove Obstacles, Bridge Differences, and Move Forward Together by Kahane. Conventional approaches to collaboration often rely on force, which is an ineffective motivator. Today's organizations prompt, urge, cajole, and mandate people to collaborate, but such approaches are futile. For example, if a manager orders a group to execute a task without securing buy-in from his or her subordinates, the employees will either go along with the boss's wishes and struggle or simply quit. Transformative facilitation is a process in which participants and facilitators work together to transform a problematic situation. When people have a will to work together to effect change, they ought to employ transformative facilitation, an unconventional breakthrough approach that enables groups to overcome obstacles to collaboration. Transformative facilitation is a useful tool when any kind of group, organization, community, or society attempts to institute change while facing internal or external challenges. When diverse groups convene with a goal of realizing change, they often require the guidance of a facilitator. Anyone who is willing to lead groups through the facilitation process, and who has the group's support, can assume the role of facilitator. To foster collaboration, dismantle barriers to contribution, connection, and equity. Transformative facilitation is not getting participants to work together but helping them remove the obstacles to doing so. You can't push a stream to flow, but if you remove the blockages, it will flow by itself. The group, with the aid of facilitator Kahane, discovered that before it could begin building a better future, it would need to unblock three essential elements to trigger constructive collaboration. 1. Contribution. Groups must first dismantle any cultural, political, economic, institutional, psychological, or physical structures that disempower people and hinder them from contributing. 2. Connection. Participants must get to know one another as individuals. 2. Identify the barriers to group connection, for example, poor communication or broken relationships, and overcome them. 3. Equity. Some group members have more privilege and power than others. 3. Collaboration requires removing hierarchies and letting all participants engage on an equal footing. The transformative facilitation model blends vertical and horizontal approaches. Conventional facilitation approaches tend to constrain collaboration. The most common form, vertical facilitation, is a top-down hierarchical approach that prioritizes one way, the leader's preferred way, of doing things. While vertical facilitation processes can result in group cohesion and coordination, they can also result in dominant group members ignoring the needs of those in more subordinate positions. Organizations sometimes employ horizontal facilitation approaches, which reject rigid hierarchies and encourage individual team members to behave autonomously. A cyclist pushes alternately on the left and right pedals to enable the bicycle to advance. Similarly, a facilitator makes alternating vertical and horizontal moves to enable the group to advance. Transformative facilitators alternate between vertical and horizontal approaches. They employ a vertical approach to establish new structures and cultivate unity but shift to a horizontal style if the process gets too rigid. The horizontal approach generates diverse ideas and solutions, but when it becomes too unwieldy, facilitators swing back toward a cohesive vertical approach, and so on, progressing the decision-making process in an upward spiral and creating an environment conducive to transformative change. Transformative facilitation employs simple actions to remove all barriers to contribution, connection, and equity. Help groups define the situation by advocating and inquiring. When dealing with the question, "How do we see our situation?" participants engaged in vertical facilitation deem that there is one right answer, usually the boss's suggestion, that they must advocate. The group then debates the pros and cons of that solution. This approach, though decisive, can cultivate groupthink and resentment. Horizontal facilitation, on the other hand, holds that all participants have equally valid answers, all of which are worthy of inquiry. This approach invites diverse solutions, but it can result in chaos and indecision. Transformative facilitators oscillate between inquiring into several possible solutions and advocating for a shared one. They urge participants to be open to other perspectives. Opening avoids the vertical downside of a single answer that is incorrect or unsupported and the horizontal downside of a cacophony of answers that are unconnected. Complex conflicts don't have simple solutions, so, as a facilitator, be open to diverse points of view. Encourage everyone to contribute their ideas in a safe space, with the aim of reaching a shared understanding, and prevent participants with more power from dominating this process. Ask open-ended questions that trigger meaningful discussions. Encourage participants to listen without judgment. Prompt people to open up by listening to and sharing with one another, as opposed to simply downloading, whereby one person advocates for a solution without listening to others' opinions, while everyone else awaits their turn to do likewise. Ideally, participants should talk and listen through presencing, that is, considering both collective and individual perspectives as they listen and speak, while also being aware of emerging possibilities. As a facilitator, you can shift the group from downloading to presencing in 3 steps: suspending, realizing that your perspective may not accurately capture the reality of the situation; redirecting, allowing yourself to view the situation from another person's perspective; and letting go, relinquishing your own narratives to make room for others when necessary. Success requires both reaching conclusions and advancing toward goals. To help groups solve challenging situations, you must first invite participants to settle upon a nuanced definition of success. While vertical approaches to collaboration define success as reaching a deal or agreement, horizontal approaches view success as forward momentum. Transformative facilitation helps groups cycle between forming tentative conclusions and advancing. Skillful facilitators can discern when to pause to explore ideas further, when to agree or agree to disagree, when to allow work to remain undefined, when to move forward with concrete actions, and when to conclude the facilitation session. Transformative facilitation cycles between 2 poles to get the best of both and avoid the worst. Oftentimes, groups can't move forward until they have reached a mutual decision. But, as in the case of peace negotiations in Colombia, sometimes groups advance by respectfully agreeing to disagree. Until groups reach an agreement, employ what poet John Keats described as negative capability, being capable of being in uncertainties, mysteries, and doubts without any irritable reaching after fact and reason. Generally, groups can collaborate when they have passed through 3 stages. 1. Diverging. People contribute their unique ideas, experiences, and points of view. 2. Emerging. Group members spend time reflecting on all the ideas presented until they reach a shared understanding. 3. Converging. The group members draw conclusions and settle on agreements. Employ mapping and discovering to figure out the best approach to attaining the group's goals. When reflecting on how to get a group from where they are to where they'd like to be, a transformative facilitator incorporates both the vertical approach of mapping a pathway forward and the horizontal approach of letting the group feel its way ahead. You must help the group create a roadmap, while leaving room for discovery and modification. Embrace an adaptable approach, and know when to steer the group toward either the mapping or the discovery processes. Understand that improvisation and the ability to respond to the unexpected are signs of success, as groups can't always rely too rigidly on a fixed plan but must instead pivot fluidly. Plans are worthless, but planning is everything. Dwight Eisenhower. As a facilitator, become more adaptable and capable of pivoting by reflecting on your guided sessions. Mull over what you and the group did well and what you ought to keep doing. Think about where you could improve the process. Get comfortable embracing new approaches by experimenting with group dynamics, responding to feedback, and trying to spark collaboration in different ways. Ensure that the space and constructs you're working within support creative experimentation. Frame the workshop in a way that makes people feel comfortable trying new things. Use light chairs that you can move around easily to facilitate different styles of group work. Employ materials such as sticky notes and flip charts that people can engage with collaboratively, as opposed to individual use objects such as notepads and laptops. Direct and accompany groups as they decide to whom to delegate tasks and find ways to work together. How does the group decide who does what? In the vertical approach, the leader makes those decisions. The horizontal approach is decentralized, and individuals decide for themselves what work they will do. Transformative facilitation combines these approaches. By both directing and accompanying groups, facilitators can inspire groups to act collaboratively in ways that are both coordinated and voluntary, harnessing the benefits of both vertical and horizontal facilitation styles. The facilitator helps participants choose and coordinate their actions through employing two modes: directing participants, like the director of an orchestra or band, and accompanying them, like an accompanist playing piano or drums. Successfully facilitating in this manner works only if you are genuinely working in the interests of all participants. Facilitators are not leaders, but they help all participants coordinate and progress. When you wish to serve people, you generate trust, and transformative change is impossible without trust. Embrace objectivity and subjectivity to identify systemic problems and solve them. Finally, the group must tackle how it views its roles and responsibilities. In vertical facilitation, participants view problems objectively as issues that need to be fixed, which fails to create a sense of accountability. In horizontal facilitation, participants see problems subjectively, as issues that they are partly responsible for causing and are duty-bound to repair. Within this latter framework, participants get short-sighted. Transformative facilitation embraces the best of both perspectives. The facilitator moves back and forth between being an objective observer outside the group and a subjective participant within the group. Transformative facilitators can help participants view their situation objectively and subjectively by acting as partners in the transformation process. Viewing a system from the outside, like a neutral umpire, helps you to perceive the broad dynamics at play from afar, while viewing the situation from the inside allows you to play a valuable part in creating a solution. People will push back against being made accountable for problems, but to progress the collaboration, all participants must own up to their part in exacerbating the issue. Have your participants describe the situation from the point of view of an objective observer, and then again from the point of view of a subjective participant, and ask them to compare the stances. Or invite the group members to take a walk with the person in the group whom they believe to be most different from themselves. Both exercises allow participants to view the problem through others' eyes. Overcome impediments to love, power, and justice to trigger collaboration. Facilitators can help groups break through the obstacles impeding their progress only if they engage in self-reflection. Consider your experiences of power, privilege, or injustice. Reflecting on your own experiences can help you better understand where you need to grow. For example, if you're a white man who has led a life full of privilege, you may need to work harder to notice the instances of injustice that others face regularly. It is only through opening up to one another that we can enable love, power, and justice. And it is only through working with love, power, and justice that we can move forward together. There is no other formula for creating a better world. Groups can't collaborate effectively without employing both love, which unites them, and power, which drives them in purposeful action. Love and power, when out of balance, can both be degenerative. You can love by sapping others' power, and you can rise to power by denying others love. It's crucial that facilitators help teams harness the power of justice to help them move toward a broader purpose with love and power. Justice should be both aspirational and built into a group's processes to ensure people have more equitable opportunities to contribute and connect with others. Takeaways. Conventional approaches to collaboration often rely on force, which is an ineffective motivator. To foster collaboration, dismantle barriers to contribution, connection, and equity. The transformative facilitation model blends vertical and horizontal approaches. Help groups define the situation by advocating and inquiring. Success requires both reaching conclusions and advancing toward goals. Employ mapping and discovering to figure out the best approach to attaining the group's goals. Direct and accompany groups as they decide to whom to delegate tasks and find ways to work together. Embrace objectivity and subjectivity to identify systemic problems and solve them. Overcome impediments to love, power, and justice to trigger collaboration. Please like, share, and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching.